Welcome back to our competitor series. Really excited to meet here with Jeff Winters. Jeff, how's it going?
I didn't even meet, like we haven't met each other.
I've never met you before.
We know each other well.
Yes, we do. And we may or may not have done a podcast an hour ago. So we're nice and warmed up and excited to talk today. We have our strongest competitor that we are going to talk about today. Mean.
Say horrible things.
Ugly. The worst competitor.
But they have no Reddit reviews. They have no Google reviews. They have no website.
Yeah.
You can't find them anywhere. There's no podcast. They have no CEO. They have no employees.
They are invisible. They're there at the same time.
And they're often our most difficult adversary in the sales process.
We run up against them 90% of the time.
We almost never don't run up against them.
And honestly, when we lose a deal, it's almost always to this competitor.
They're killing us.
And that competitor is Status Quo. Status Quo. That is the competitor that we're talking about today.
Status Quo's close rate is 80%.
Yeah, it's insane.
We're winning 10, somebody else is winning 10, and the other Status Quo's winning 80.
80% of the deals. If it was a business, it would be a huge business. So let's talk a little bit about the comparison between using an Abstrakt and using this competitor, Status Quo. How many dials do you get a month on a standard program with Abstrakt?
500.
500, 650. How many dials a month do you get with Status Quo?
As many as you got yesterday.
Times 20. Yeah,
right.
Calendar month, right?
Calendar month.
And how often is that number 0?
All the time.
A lot. There's not a lot of calls. How about emails? LinkedIn messages, direct mail pieces, conversations with new decision makers?
It depends.
It depends. It depends. And some people are doing this internally, and some people, frankly, are doing well internally. And if that is your status quo, then I would be more highly inclined for you to stay in that status quo. But more often than not, what I see, and I'm sure what you see, is people doing nothing.
Yeah. Or they got like Larry. Shout out to Larry. You know, Larry's in a back room with no windows. There's probably like a server in there. It's where the Wi-Fi router is. And Larry's running the program where he sends out the emails and goes on LinkedIn, wanders around, then he has lunch. That person, the fictional Larry, the caricature of Larry, is not going to consistently run a process that is multi-channel and thoughtful. That's what you're saying.
Right, exactly. And when you think about status quo, it's so hard to try to do this internally and be the expert at every single thing. It's getting so complicated. There's so many different channels. Talk a little bit about that.
I use the analogy of the car mechanic. You know, if you are a brilliant mechanic or you love being a mechanic, like that's your thing and you want to fix your own Volvo, by all means, go crazy. I'm not fixing mine.
You're the only one that drives a Volvo.
I don't. I have 150 kids. I'm not fixing my own car. I don't know how to do it. The technology is getting more advanced. The windshield wiper breaks. I don't know. That's not for me. I take it to the mechanic. It's that important. What I drive every day on the streets and tow my kids around it, it's really important. So I don't want to just wing it. I can't. And you know what else is important? Not as important as your car and getting your kids around. Marketing. Your sales pipeline. Why would you do it if it's not your thing? Why would you do it if it's not your specialty? You don't know if the technology has changed. You can't. It's hard for us to know. We do it every day.
Absolutely. And it's only getting more complicated by the day because technology is advancing, and now you have Google, now you have ChatGPT that's going to get into the browsing space, and then channels, email, LinkedIn, direct mail, whatever you're doing physically, events. You know, you tie that all together, it's really hard to be the expert. But that's some people that are doing it internally.
Yeah.
And frankly, if you're doing it internally, you're at least doing something.
You are.
I would say the majority of the time, when we lose to status quo, it is you are doing nothing. You have two choices as a business. Mm-hmm. You wait for business to come to you, or you go out and get it. And the people we are losing to are still waiting for business to come to them.
Shout out to them to a certain extent, because in the conversations that we have, businesses are successful. They deliver an awesome product.
Very true.
Their customers want to tell other people to come use their product. They get expansions within their current customer, more wallet share. They get all sorts of benefits from being a great business and having a great product or service that drives value. And that is commendable. Unfortunately, that boat only floats so long. You can't do it forever. You have to show me the business that had zero marketing, sales enablement, sales development, or what have you, that was able to succeed in that way. That list is short or zero. It ain't there. So at some point, if you want to get bigger, if you want to grow, if you want to realize whatever dreams you have or goals you have or objectives you have as a business owner, you need to predictably drive more sales pipeline. Period. The end.
How many times have you heard it? Eric, I'm talking to you today because we just lost our biggest client and we need to figure out how to replace it.
That's heartbreaking, by the way.
It really is. Like, the reality is, hey, bud, you're too late.
Too late.
You should have done this a year ago. Now, there's no bad time to start. You have to get started somewhere. But that's what you want to avoid. If you are at the mercy of what's coming to you, you can't predict it, you can't control it, and thus you can't scale your business in the right way.
Eric, so of course, we see folks that do absolutely nothing. They're just going to keep growing with referral. They're going to keep growing with word of mouth. Good on you. You're providing a great product or service. I guarantee it. But then we do have some where they're like, you know what? I'm going to start what you guys do. I'm going to start doing this myself. I've been thinking about it. I want to start doing it myself. I think I could do what you guys do and get meetings. It's not that hard. Talk about that piece of the status quo.
Yeah, so the easiest way to talk about it is just, I go back to my days when we started this thing.
Yeah.
And had almost nobody doing it. And you think about, you have to go hire an individual.
Right.
They have to be motivated to cold call.
Yep.
Which is arguably one of the tougher mental jobs that's out there.
Yep. And
then you have to establish training, which is eating up your valuable time. Assuming if you're doing this yourself, it's because of budget and you want to, you don't have the resources to do it. So you're taking away your time selling or running the business or whatever else you're doing.
Right.
And then you have to train somebody on something you probably don't know anything about because you probably started your business because you were good at a service. And then it's a crapshoot if they're good or not. And so if they're good, they don't want to do it long. And if they're bad, you have to replace them if you have to start the whole cycle over. And that's just cold calling. But then you have to have somebody pull the list and somebody buy the email or write the email content and set up the email platform and do the LinkedIn and do this and that and the other thing. And by the end of it, it's so damn expensive to try to do it yourself one-off. You're better off outsourcing and taking a shot and finding a partner that's going to do it all for you.
100%. And you're probably sitting there thinking, Jeff, you moron. That's not status quo. They're changing something. They're just doing it internally. Yeah, you're right, by the literal definition. However, generally what that means isn't we're going to go out and hire a bunch of people. Generally what it means is we're going to take one person's job that we have now and split it in half. Or, more often than not, just add 50% to what they're doing. Right. Or we're going to have the salespeople do it. We're going to have the salespeople get their own meetings. I know I haven't done it in 50 years, but this year is different, Eric. Talk about that level of status quo. You know what? We've got the resources here. We got plenty of salespeople. We're just going to hold them more accountable to getting more meetings.
Well, I have salespeople, and I've said they're going to get more meetings. And, I won't say they're consistent in a lot of things, but they're definitely consistent in not setting meetings. And I make light of them, but ultimately it's because they don't want to do that. They want to close deals. They want to be closer to the money. And frankly, they should because they're really good at it. So I'm wasting their time and I'm planning on something that I know isn't ultimately going to happen.
You know what I say to that strategy? Absolutely. They should go get more meetings. They're going to go get more meetings. But on the off chance they do what you think they're going to do, because I have a saying, bears are going to hibernate, maybe a little later in the winter, maybe a little earlier in the winter, but ultimately bears are going to hibernate. Salespeople, if they haven't prospected for 25 years, if it's not in your culture, unless you have some major cultural shift, maybe they'll be a little slow on the uptake. Why don't we hedge against them not doing it?
For sure.
With having some sales meetings scheduled for you, it's not that expensive.
Yeah, and salespeople churn. You have 6 reps, you're planning on 20 meetings per rep. 1 churns, you're 20 meetings down. Have plans in place to make sure no matter what, because we know how important you have to get those new opportunities in the funnel. If you don't do that, let's talk about another one. Yeah. People that have been burned in the past. Yeah. Sort of a learned helplessness thing. They had that one study where they shocked the rats and eventually they just stopped trying to escape.
I gotta tell you, I actually know that study well. That may be the worst description of that study. The poor rats in that study are embarrassed with that description.
With that description. You get it.
Yeah, I get it. They shocked the rats.
You get burned so many times.
The rats tried lead generation. Mice.
Burned in the past. I've done it. I've tried it once before. I don't want to do it again.
I went to a sushi place. I did in the past. And you know what happened? I ate that sushi, and the next day, all sorts of hell were unleashed. I don't know what happened. I don't know why, but I know that I felt like absolute dog for 2 days. Guess what I'm going to have tonight for dinner? Sushi. I'm going to have sushi. You know why? Because the past isn't always prologue. The history isn't always our guide.
Yep.
You have bad vendors. There's bad companies out there. There's bad sushi. It is what it is. That's not a reason to write off an entire category. What am I going to do now? Not go out to restaurants? Am I going to eat at home? No. I'm going to go out and get right back on that horse and have a little sushi.
Have a little sushi. There's so many examples in life, right? And the reality is you have to look at what you're doing right now, and no one's coming to save you. Things don't stay the same, actually. Like, status quo is a lie. Right. That you're either getting better or you're getting worse. And every day that goes by that you're not protecting your business by building your pipeline, it's not good.
Every successful business owner that I talk to says the same thing about this topic, just marketing, pipeline generation. We try stuff and it works. We try stuff and it doesn't. The only certainty we know is we're going to keep trying stuff until we find something that works.
Yep.
Nobody who's uber successful and has an amazing, flourishing company with tons of sales is like, yeah, we tried it and it didn't work, so now we just aren't going to do it anymore. It's like, no. We're going to keep trying shit in marketing, sales development until we figure out what works. And then we're going to scale it aggressively until it doesn't work. And then we're going to try some other shit.
Right. And the one thing I always like to think about, too, and you're talking about our service in general, say you try us for a year and you don't quite get the return that you wanted.
Yeah.
You're now leaving with a list that we qualified, marketed to, branded to over a year. Anything else you're going to try after that, you're going to have a higher likelihood of success. You get to take that data and move it to the next program.
Without question. You got to try stuff if you want to grow. Otherwise, you're going to stay where you're at.
Status quo. Death to status quo.
Death to status quo, but good on you, status quo.
Good on you.
Best marketing campaign ever
strongest
created.
Competitor that we have. Use us. Use somebody else, do it yourself, but just do something.
Do something.
Do something. No more status quo. Thank you, Jeff.
You, Larry.